Hello class. In this video, we will continue with chapter 2, the fundamental structure of matter. So, as a quick review, we know that all matter is made up from tiny particles that are called atoms. So, everything we see around us is made up of atoms. And these atoms consist of a nucleus and an electron cloud. Okay? And inside the nucleus we have two types of particles. We have protons and we have neutrons. And in the electron cloud we have electrons. So the number of protons in the nucleus specifies the identity of the element of a given atom. So if we have a given atom like the one we have here, and the number of protons, these red circles, these are the protons, the number of protons is 2. So we have 2 protons. We know that the number of protons is actually the atomic number of the atom. So the number of protons equals Z, which is the atomic number. Okay? So the atomic number of this atom would be 2, right? So in this example above, the number of protons is Z equal to 2. We have to go refer to the periodic table to know which element has Z equals to 2. And the periodic table is arranged based on increasing Z. So what do we call this element with Z equals to 2? Let's go check the periodic table. So this here is the periodic table. Here we have the key to know how to read the elements. So the little number up here is the atomic number. And the letter here is the symbol. And here is the name. Okay? There are other details, but we're not interested in them now. Let's see. So for Z equals to 1, or for the atomic number equals to 1, we have H, which is hydrogen. Then we go to this side, we have for Z equals to 2, we have He, which is helium. So the atom here that we have is actually a helium atom. Okay? Now, we know that inside the balloons we have helium gas, right? So if we zoom into this gas, we are going to see the helium atoms. We're not actually going to see them, but we're going to find that helium gas consists of helium atoms, right? And if we zoom in, each individual atom is made up of a nucleus and an electron cloud. In the nucleus we have protons and neutrons, and here we have electrons. So again, in the helium balloons we have helium gas, and if we zoom in we find that the helium gas consists of helium atoms, and each atom, and like if you zoom into the atom, it consists of a nucleus, an electron cloud. In the nucleus we have protons plus neutrons, and in the electron cloud we have electrons. Okay? But the thing is that unlike helium and some other elements, not all matter is made up from only one element. Like in the case of helium gas, when we zoomed in, we found a bunch of helium atoms. And helium atoms, they are all of the same type. All are helium atoms, all of the same elements. But not all matter is actually made up of one element by itself. Okay? So we're going to take the example of water, the water that we drink every day. We have this cup of water here, okay? If we zoom inside the cup of water, we find something called water molecules, okay? What is a molecule exactly? A molecule is a group of two or more atoms, okay? So a molecule is a group of two or more atoms. These atoms could be of the same element or they could be of different elements. Let's see in the case of water, what are the elements that make up the water molecule? So we zoom in even more and we find that the water molecule is made up from an oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms. Okay, so again, water, we zoom in, we find water molecules. A molecule is a group of of two or more atoms. All these atoms, they act as a unit, like we can't really separate them. We can separate them, but when we're talking about water, we are talking about this unit here. This unit is what makes up water. Okay, so it's a group of two or more atoms that acts as a unit. That's an important note. So, the molecule, it's a group of two or more atoms, and this group acts as a complete unit. So the water molecule is what makes up the water. If we zoom in into each molecule, we find that the molecule is made up of one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms. All together, they make the water molecule. So we say that water exists as a molecule. It is made up from one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms. Okay? Now, when a molecule contains two atoms, so if a molecule, that's a special case of a molecule, it only contains two atoms, we call this molecule a diatomic molecule. Di stands for two. Atomic, it's for the atoms, number of atoms, and the molecule is the whole group of atoms. So a diatomic molecule is a molecule that contains two atoms. Okay? An example for a diatomic molecule is oxygen gas. So oxygen gas exists in nature as a diatomic molecule. So when we zoom inside the oxygen gas, we see that the oxygen atoms, so we see that the oxygen gas, contains oxygen molecules, and these molecules consist of two oxygen atoms. You're going to say, but they're the same element. Yes, that's true. But oxygen, if you zoom in, you find that this unit, the unit of two oxygen atoms together, make up the oxygen gas. Okay? Oxygen is not found in one atom by itself, a single atom by itself. No, that's not right. It is found as two atoms together. They form a molecule. Okay, an oxygen molecule. There's other examples other than oxygen. There's nitrogen. So nitrogen is like oxygen. It consists of two atoms. It forms a nitrogen molecule. Now, what do we call this oxygen molecule? We call it, with a chemical symbol, we call it O2. O for oxygen, 2 for two atoms. Nitrogen, because it has two atoms, also a nitrogen is N stands for nitrogen, so we call it N2. N for nitrogen, 2 for two atoms. Okay? Now I want you to open page 65 and then 66. I want you to read the introduction and the definition of a molecule, and then we go to the definition of a diatomic molecule, and finally to activity 1. In activity 1, we see that the white ball represents a hydrogen atom and the green ball represents a chlorine atom. They show us a chemical reaction. This chemical reaction is of two hydrogen atoms, which is a hydrogen molecule, H2, and two chlorine atoms, which is Cl2. They together, when they react together, they form two molecules of one hydrogen and one Cl. So one hydrogen and one chlorine. Hydrogen and chlorine. So H stands for hydrogen, 2 stands for two atoms of hydrogen, that's H2. This is the molecule. Same thing here. Cl stands for chlorine and 2 stands for two atoms of chlorine. Together, when they react, what's the word? It's called when they react, and this is a chemical reaction. So when they react together, they give us two molecules of HCl. Two molecules of HCl. Okay? What I want you to do now is I want you to read the analysis questions in page 66 and try to solve them. That would be your homework. That's part 1 of the homework. Part 2 of the homework is that I want you to open page 67, read page 67, and that's an activity 2, and answer the questions 1, 2, and 3. The first question is it consists of copying a table to your copybook, and you have to complete it. This table gives you the name of a molecule, and then you should say how many hydrogen atoms is inside this molecule, how many nitrogen atoms, how many oxygen atoms, and how many carbon atoms. Now, I will help you by giving you the chemical formula of these molecules. So we have methane. Its chemical formula is CH4. So it contains one carbon and H, that is hydrogen. And 4 it stands for 4 hydrogen atoms. So it contains one carbon atom and 4 hydrogen atoms. And similarly for water, H2O, ammonia, and H3, and finally ethene, which is C2H4. If a specific molecule doesn't contain one of the atoms that is listed in the table, you just write a dash or an empty set, whatever that you want. So I want you to continue number 1, 2, and 3 and send me the solution or your answers on the assignment. So please submit it before tomorrow 6:30 p.m. Okay? Have a good day, and if you have any questions, please ask me between 4:30 and 5:30. Okay?